So do you want to buy it? Buy what? Sales needs a little bit more preparation, particularly in a B2B environment. So today we're going to look at some of the ways security professionals are best placed to capitalize on, especially this lockdown time, to upskill themselves from a B2C perspective to a B2B. Welcome to Weekly Marketing Thoughts with CTG Intelligence, your weekly look at marketing, PR, business development for your organization and your career. Please hit that thumbs up button below because we like it and we need it, and subscribe for more content just like this. So in 2009, McKinsey came out with a very interesting study as to why salespeople failed, especially in a B2B environment. One, they didn't have any knowledge about what they were selling. Two, they didn't have any knowledge about their industry. Three, their sales were too aggressive. They ignored the customer after they signed. And four, maybe they had too much contacts. They really annoyed them. But you know what? This doesn't sound like you. This does not sound like either a physical or a cyber security professional. And the reason it doesn't sound like you is because you know your product and you really know your industry. I'm not sure I could speak for whether or not you've been too aggressive or not, but you get the picture. You're very well placed to be the evangelist for your service because you yourself are the expert. So today we want to look at 4 areas where perhaps you need to invest a little more time when transitioning from a B2C, business to customer, towards a B2B, business to business, and I suppose, yes, a little bit of B2G, business to government environment. First, if you were down the market and you're trying to sell some apples and oranges, you'd be in close proximity to your end customer. You'd be pretty sure that they're in the mood for buying, seeing as they are in the market, and you'd be able to judge from their expression what they wanted to buy, and you'd be able to sell an actual service or product to them. But in the B2B realm, the decision-making unit is everywhere and nowhere. There's very few times you'll find a key individual who has absolute authority. So you need to understand the sales cycle. It's not that you can't interject yourself at a time when they're not buying, but you have to appreciate who's where in the decision-making unit and when they're trying to make a purchase so that you can at least feed into their corporate or business structure. Sure, you can catch a CEO and they might agree to something, but very few CEOs will love overriding their subordinate staff. So plan and map out who you need to demonstrate value to. And on the subject of value, number 2, if you were down the market and you were selling apples and oranges, you very clearly have an apple and you very clearly have an orange. The communication you have, the banter you have is fine. But in a B2B environment, you very rarely get the chance to shine in the way that you do with one-on-one customer. So number 2, perfect your elevator pitch. It's not a simple case of blurting out an ask. You need to practice the value that you and your service conveys all the way to the customer's needs. Let me put it this way. If you rocked up in perhaps a developing country, you know that there's going to be some very entrepreneurial person or maybe child trying to carry your luggage or trying to fulfill a need that they perceive you have. So the elevator pitch in that sense is so key. 3, objections. Now, I know this sounds a little bit tough, but objections are not always what they seem. Let's take the apples and oranges example. You are trying to sell either an apple or an orange, and somebody says to you, I don't need any apples and oranges. Well, actually, what they might be saying is, I've spent all my money on pears. What they might be saying is, I'm allergic to apples and oranges. What they might be saying is, I don't trust that your apples and oranges will be any good. So overcoming objections requires investigation. It requires digging a little deeper. And particularly in a B2B context where the decision-making unit is very, very ossified, you need to understand that perhaps your service, your approach is absolutely fine, but somebody in marketing observed that the way that you've marketed yourself is not quite in line with the branding, which is easily solvable by you, particularly in a security context, and particularly when there are so many small businesses. You have the power to change little things to overcome objections. Obviously, a no sometimes truly is a no. But if you've addressed the sales cycle, addressed the decision-making unit, you've got your perfect elevator pitch based on the value that they require, then perhaps the objection you're getting is not quite what you had in mind. It's about digging deeper. And then 4, your value. Now, your value is not a list of features that you provide. Feature selling, yes, I get it. It's much more important to connect it with spin selling. Not spin as in political doctrine, but attaching your value to their needs. Far too often I see, especially on LinkedIn, and in this time I get it, people are in dire need, especially in the physical security world. They're making an ask. They are displaying everything they can do, but they are not linking it to a distinct need. Let's say that you're a CBRN expert, but you're also a close protection expert. Well, that's a fantastic way to marry an additional skill set, only if you have a customer looking for it. You can't go up to a residential detail job advert and suddenly say, by the way, I'm really good in chemical weapons. Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but you get the picture. Equally, if you are selling maybe a cyber threat intelligence platform, and you can tell them about all these fantastic features and dark web threat intelligence features that you've got, is it matching their requirements? So you need to do your investigation first. You need to ask deeper questions to attach your value to their needs. These are all things that in a B2C context are so much easier when you're speaking with a decision maker to buy an apple or an orange. It's so much clearer. But today, especially when people are negotiating online, you really need to adjust what you're doing, particularly for the security field. Let's go back to that example of the McKinsey report. People failed because lack of product knowledge. That's not you. People failed because lack of knowledge of the industry. That's not you. Sales too aggressive? I haven't seen it. I've seen people who are not in the security space coming in and overplaying a weak hand, but I don't think that's too, you. Ignoring the customer after signing? I don't think you'd be in business if you ignored them. And then too much contact, okay, you might be guilty of that. Who knows? It's not the worst thing in the world. So what I want you to do is think where you're currently thinking in a B2C mindset and where you can think in a B2B mindset. Yes, I know what you're thinking. You probably heard online that there's also a B2B2C mindset, but that's for another story. Check out the sales cycle. Check out and formulate your perfect elevator pitch. Handle objections by questioning and truly understanding them, and finding where your value actually is valuable. So Please hit that thumbs up button below and subscribe for more content just like this. I hope you have a great week, and I look forward to seeing you again.